for pre-need, funerals, burials, or cremation since 1975. Curtis & Son Funeral Home, Sylacauga, Childersburg. Nellie Carolyn Pugh, age 66, of Childersburg, died December 30th at Coosa Valley Medical Center. Funeral service will be today at Cornerstone Church of Christ on the Fayetteville-Childersburg Highway, beginning at 2 p.m. Burial in the Kahatchee Cemetery. Online condolences at curtisondsonfh.com. Curtis & Son Funeral Home, Childersburg Chapel, in charge of the arrangements. Joseph Leslie Swindle, age 65, of Sylacauga, died December 30th at Coosa Valley Medical Center. Funeral service will be held on Thursday at First United Methodist Church in Sylacauga at 1 p.m. Reverend James Haskins, along with Reverend Wayne Swindle, officiating. Burial in the Mount Olive Cemetery. Visitation at the church prior to the service, 11 a.m. until 12:30. In lieu of flowers, a family request donation be made at the First United Methodist Church in Sylacauga. Online condolences at curtisondsonfh.com. Curtis & Son Funeral Home, North Chapel, directing. Mrs. Janice Cosper, age 68, of Sylacauga, died December 31st at Grandview Medical Center. Graveside service Thursday, January 4th at Evergreen Memorial Cemetery, with visitation from noon until 2 at the North Chapel of Curtis & Son Funeral Home. That graveside service starts at 3, with visitation 12 until 2 at Curtis & Son North. Online memorials at curtisondsonfh.com. Curtis & Son Funeral Home, North Chapel, directing that service. Ruth Jean Pinkerton died at her residence on New Year's Eve at the age of 90 years old. Funeral service will be held on Thursday at 3 p.m. from Curtis & Son North. A visitation will precede the service from 1 until 3, and a reception will be held at the Sylacauga Country Club immediately thereafter. Those who desire to make donations can to the Sylacauga City Schools Foundation or the Sylacauga Animal Shelter. Online condolences at curtisondsonfh.com. Curtis & Son Funeral Home, North Chapel, directing. Mr. Joseph Paul Jackson, age 48, of Sylacauga, died December 29th. Online condolences at curtisondsonfh.com. Curtis & Son Funeral Home, in charge of the arrangements. Funeral service for Mr. Claude Culberson, age 73, of Alexander City, will be Thursday, January 4th at 2 p.m. in the chapel of Radley Funeral Home. Reverend Ken Griffin, along with Reverend Wayne Cowhick, officiating. Burial in the Hillview Memorial Park. The family will receive friends tonight at the funeral home from 5 until 7. Mr. Culberson died January 2nd at UAB in Birmingham. He was a member of the El Kahatchee Baptist Church. Memorial messages can be sent to the family at radleyfuneralhome.com. Radley Funeral Home, directing. Miss Mary Arnold, age 74, died January 1st in Birmingham. Funeral arrangements to be announced later by Community Funeral Home. You may visit online for your condolences at communityfuneralhome.org. Mr. Cameron Bearden, age 24, died December 31st. Arrangements to be announced later by Radley Smith Funeral Home. Memorial service for Mr. Timothy Liddell Garrett, age 44, is today at Community Funeral Home Chapel in Sylacauga at 3 p.m. Mr. Garrett died December 26 in Shelby County. Online condolences at communityfuneralhome.org. Community Funeral Home Sylacauga, directing. Funeral service for Mary Amelia Hallman, age 83, is Thursday, January 4th at 2 p.m. from the Chapel of Ursery Funeral Home in Talladega. Ms. Hallman died Sunday, December 31st. She was a member of the Lakeview Baptist Church in Oxford, and she was retired from Citizens Baptist Hospital in Talladega. Visitation will be today from 6 until 8 p.m. At the funeral home. Online condolences at urseryfuneralhome.com. Ursery Funeral Home in Talladega, in charge of the arrangements. Mr. Joe B. Hill, age 74, died Tuesday, January 2nd at Brookwood Medical Center. Funeral arrangements are incomplete. They'll be announced by Radley Smith Funeral Home. Funeral service for Rebel Warwick, age 66, will be Thursday at 2 p.m. from DeForest Chapel on the campus of Talladega College, with Pastor Billy Curry officiating. Interment in the Pine Hill Cemetery. Mrs. Warwick died December 27th at Citizens BMC in Talladega. The body will lie in state at the chapel, DeForest Chapel, 1 hour prior to the service. Anniston Funeral Service directing. A memorial service will be held 11 o'clock Saturday, January 6th at J. Craig Smith Community Center for Grace Hughes Andrews, age 85, of Sylacauga. Ms. Andrews died Tuesday, December the 19th. Collier Butler Funeral and Cremation Service announcing the arrangements. Refreshments will be served following the service. And the family would like to express their thanks to Memory Unit of Regency Point and the Third Hall Nurses Station at Gadsden Healthcare. Samantha Jean Trawick, age 26, died December 31st at her residence. Visitation at Talladega Funeral Home will be Thursday, January 4th from 11 a.m. until 1 p.m. A memorial service will follow at 1 in the chapel of Talladega Funeral Home. Mrs. Trawick was a wife and mother, and if you would like to make a donation in lieu of flowers, you can go toward her funeral account. Talladega Funeral Home directing. Ms. Nellie Keith, age 74, died January 1st in Childersburg. Community Funeral Home announcing online condolences at communityfuneralhome.org. Mr. Theodore Kelly, age 60, died December 31st in Anniston. Community Funeral Home will announce the arrangements. Mr. Rush M. Johnson, Jr., age 77, died December 29th in Sylacauga. Community Funeral Home also announcing those arrangements. Eleanor Perkins, age 76, died December 30th. Funeral service will be held today at Ursery Funeral Home in Talladega, beginning at 3:30. The family will receive friends prior to the service, beginning at 2:30. David Gaither and Ralph Haywood will officiate the service. Burial in the Pine Hill Memorial Park. Online condolences at urseryfuneralhome.com. Ursery Funeral Home directing. Funeral service for Barbara Ann Jones, age 82, of Sylacauga, will be Thursday, January 4th at 2 o'clock, the chapel of Radley Smith Funeral Home, with the Reverend David Schaefer officiating. Burial in the Talladega Springs Cemetery. Ms. Jones was a member of the Union Springs Baptist Church in Sylacauga for over 61 years. Visitation tonight at the funeral home from 5 until 8. Memorial messages may be sent to the family at radleysmith.com. Radley Smith Funeral Home directing. Kate Eason Calhoun, age 91, died Saturday, December 23rd at Talladega Healthcare Center. Funeral service today at 1 o'clock from Ursery Funeral Home, with Bobby Morgan officiating. Burial in the Laniers Cemetery. And visitation will be today from 11 to 1 at the funeral home. In lieu of flowers, donations in Ms. Calhoun's memory may be made to the Oak Grove United Methodist Church, care of Larry Cruz, 181 Poplar Street in Childersburg. Online condolences at urseryfuneralhome.com. Ursery Funeral Home, Talladega directing. Sonia Starr Bryant, resident of Talladega, died December 17th. She was 55 years old. A memorial service will be held Sunday, January the 7th at Ursery Funeral Home in Talladega. In lieu of flowers, memorials can be made to the Children's Hospital or ASCVA. Online condolences at urseryfuneralhome.com. Ursery Funeral Home, Talladega directing. Funeral service for retired Staff Sergeant William D. Chick McLean will be 1 o'clock Thursday, January 4th, from Wright's Funeral Home Chapel in Alexander City. The Reverend Skip Cook will officiate. A private interment to follow in the National Veterans Cemetery of Montevallo. The family will receive friends Thursday morning from 11 a.m. until service time. Mr. McLean died Sunday, December 31st at Bill Nichols State Veterans Home. Wright's Funeral Home, Alexander City, directing. And Willie Strong died Sunday, January 31st at Russell Medical Center. Funeral arrangements are incomplete. They'll be announced later by Wright's Funeral Home in Alexander City. That is a complete look at obituaries this morning, brought to you by Curtis & Son Funeral Home, the North Chapel on Highway 21 in Sylacauga, and the Childersburg Chapel on Highway 280 in Childersburg. 256-245-4361 for pre-need funerals, burials, or cremations since 1975. Curtis & Son Funeral Home, Sylacauga, Childersburg. Now, when you talk about pre-need, a lot of us don't like to think about that. We don't like to think about death. We don't like to think about what can happen today, tomorrow, or the next week, or next year. We need to plan with a pre-need from Curtis & Son Funeral Home in case there's a death in your family. You won't have to wade through all of that stuff that at-need funeral does, and you can have everything in order. You can have the clothing, you can have the day of the service, the place of the service. You can have everything in order, down to the flowers. And when the time of death does come for that loved one, then you can mourn and grieve in your own way. But you won't have to worry about all this stuff that you deal with in at-need death, at-need funeral. Pre-plan. Miss Doris Thrash has been doing this for years. She knows how to do this, and all I ask you to do for pre-need services, call Miss Doris Thrash at Curtis & Son Funeral Home at 256-245-4361. Ladies and gentlemen, I've seen it happen many times. I've been with Curtis & Son 3 years, and just in the short time that I've been there, I have seen families that are just devastated at death, and they had no clue about how to do things. I mean, they will ask you, what do I do next? Because their mind is cluttered with the loss of a loved one. Don't let that be you. Contact Doris Thrash today at Curtis & Son Funeral Home and act on that pre-need. You will be so glad you did. And, the Bible talks about it's appointed unto man once to die. If the Lord tarries, we're going to pass off this earth, out of this life. And you certainly don't want your family having to put things back together at your death. Pre-plan it. I'm telling you, whether it's a funeral and burial, or if it's a funeral, a memorial service, and a cremation, look, go ahead and make that call today to Doris Thrash at Curtis & Son Funeral Home, 256-245-4361.